Alright, how's it going? Decided to do a vlog about my dieting style, or rather just to kind of explain what I'm doing. A lot of people have no idea what I'm doing and don't understand it even after I explain it. These are usually people that they don't work out. It's just kind of like the everyday people that ask, like, "Oh, what is your diet like?" And they have no clue what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's called IIFYM, I mean, and that's an acronym for if it fits your macros. Now, what are macros? Some people, yes, don't even know what those are. It's short for macronutrients, so that would be fat, carb, and protein. Basically, the three main nutrients that give you calories and nutrition. So that's basically the main three that we focus on. So basically, I have a set number of fat, carb, and protein that I hit every day. I track all my food in my phone app. I use my calorie counter, I think it's called. I got the Pro one because it had a few more options, but some people use my Fitness Pal online or on a phone app or whatever they want to use. I happen to like this one, so it's working fairly decent, but it's not perfect, but it works. But yeah, I weigh all my food, even if a lot of times, even if it's packaged like sometimes bread slices. Not worrying about it all the time right now, but I will probably be worrying about it more later. But usually, even if it's pre-packaged, I'll weigh it for the most part because it'll vary by a few grams. Hold on a sec, my dog wants to run out. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, basically what I do, I don't. So this basically tracking everything like this, since I'm keeping track of literally to the gram, all fats, all proteins, all carbs. So by the end of the day, I'm usually within 1 to 2 grams of my fat, and within 2 to 3 grams of my carbs and protein. Fat has 9 calories a gram, and carbs and protein have 4 per gram. So I make sure my fat's a little tighter. Stick to the numbers pretty close, or if I go a little over my carbs, I'll go a little under my protein, kind of keep my calories about the same. But yeah, doing all this enables me to basically eat pretty much whatever I want. So I don't have to stick to boiled chicken, plain broccoli, plain brown rice, plain sweet potato, plain this, that, etc., plain fish, everything that a typical bodybuilding cutting diet would be. I don't have to stick to that, and there's still tons of people that think you do. I used to think that. I actually used to do IIFYM before, but I used to only do it with clean food. So I was doing all the typical bodybuilding food for my prep before, but I would basically go through the day and I would track my food and say, okay, how much do I have left, or I usually have an idea of how many carbs and protein and fat I want each meal of the day, like depending on my workouts, whatever. Be like, okay, I want like about 80 carbs right now, about 40 protein, so I'll figure out, okay, what can I eat to make up this amount, and then whatever I'm in the mood for, I'll put it in there and make sure it adds to what I want, and then at the end of the day, it's usually, okay, what do I have left? I'm like, okay, I have 10 fat, 50 protein, and 20 carbs, or something like that, and I'll fool around with numbers of whatever I'm having. Like, maybe for that I might have a slice of bread, a bunch of eggs, and bacon, turkey bacon usually for me, and I'll just play with the numbers until it all adds up to the correct number of macros for the day. So it's really, I'm eating all the typical quote clean foods, but I'm also throwing in dirty foods, and like, I watched a vlog by Alberto Nunez, and he says we've given morality to food, like white rice bad and brown rice good, and things like that. And it's it really just breaks down into macros. Of course, you need to look into like how much fiber you're getting, and you need to look in micronutrients, things like that. So that's why I'm still including vegetables, fruits, all that stuff. So I get a good variety of food because I can eat whatever. I mean, I'm eating everything from fruit and vegetables to Pop-Tarts to chicken and tuna and eggs, back to ice cream, skinny cow sandwiches, and I mean it's all over the place. But it's good that way because not only can you eat so many good foods and enjoy your prep so much better, but it's that much easier not to want to binge, and not to want to fall off your diet. I mean, right now it's like if I'm having something sweet, no problem. I'll go have a skinny cow sandwich, and I'll make sure it's tracked on my phone. If I don't have the carbs to do it, I can't eat it that day. I got to eat it tomorrow. Or if I'm really wanting one, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to have one tonight, and I'll plan it, and I'll plan for it. I'll set aside the 24 carbs or whatever a skinny cow is. I forget. But stuff like that. I mean, and you can do it. You can have set meals through your day. In the beginning, I mean, if you're just starting, it's going to be really, really hard to just freestyle everything, because you'll end up with you might end up with like 100 grams of protein and like 2 carbs and 7 fat at the end of the day, and you're like, what am I going to eat? Like a huge protein shake and a ton of eggs? It's like, you have to kind of even things out. So in the beginning, it might be easier if you set up a food plan and then slowly start adding in more freestyle meals. So say if your meal was like oatmeal and eggs, another day you might change to like a bowl of cereal instead of the oatmeal that has the same similar carb and macro value, and like some other protein source or whatever you want, and you can kind of change it. And then as you go, once you get used to this and once you start figuring out, I mean, it's good to educate yourself on what foods have what macros in them. So you'll have like a library of foods in your head. And really, like when you're, if you're like, okay, I need like to fill in my fat with something, you'll know right away. I can throw in a whole egg, a whole egg yolk that's approximately 5 grams of fat, or I can throw in some avocado or olive oil or things like that. Like say I need some protein with minimal fats, like okay, egg whites, whey isolate, things like that. And once you have this built up in your knowledge bank, really you can just kind of flip through the memories of macros and just look through things and be like, okay, this will fit, this won't fit. And I mean, you can do that gradually, and as you start doing more freestyle meals, it'll be that much easier as you get used to it. And for me, I freestyle pretty much everything. Start to finish, my day is, I just think about what I want to eat that day. I'm like, okay, breakfast, I'm shooting for about 75 grams carbs, like 30 to 40 protein, and maybe 5 to 10 fat, something like that, somewhere there, depending on the day. So I'll be like, okay, I'm going to have a protein bar, slice of wheat bread, and a stick of string cheese, light string cheese, and there you go for that day. Next day, usually I do a protein bar, just because it's easy. So I might do a different protein bar with a little bit more fat, a little bit less carbs, and I'll have like a small bowl of cereal with that. That's basically what it is. My lunches, today it was like a packet of tuna with a bunch of crackers put in it, and then I had some like these Kashi whole grain pita crisps with salsa, and that was my carb intake, and I had a light string cheese. Other days I'll make like a bowl of oatmeal with apples, and have either like whey or tuna with that, or chicken or whatever. And it's just all the macros kind of are similar, because I always aim for certain amounts during certain meals. Like I'll have bigger carb meals during my workouts and on breakfast, and bigger fat meals kind of at the other meals, just because I don't really need the carbs as much at those times. So I'll separate it out like that. But really, I mean, it's not going to make that much of a difference if you have oatmeal or a Pop-Tart. I'm not saying have Pop-Tarts all the time, like I said earlier, because you would be lacking micronutrients and fiber, things like that. But it's not bad to have a variety of foods. And also, people are freak out about GI and high GI foods versus low GI foods, and I mean there's a difference, but how many times do I eat carbs by themselves? Really hardly ever. I'm pretty much eating protein every time I'm eating, at least, and maybe fat, maybe fiber with that too. So all that stuff slows down the digestion and the GI of the food, so I really don't have to worry about it that much. And then also, if you're in a deficit of calories, there's really no reason for your body to just go, oh, this is a high GI food, I'm going to instantly just store this as fat. Most likely not. Usually if you're in a slight deficit like I am right now and you're losing weight, your body is trying to grasp everything it can to use that, because you're stimulating your muscle through weight training, and your body is, I mean, those are scavenging, your muscle is scavenging as much carbs as it can because you keep depleting it. Over time you keep depleting it, and so your body is trying to use that and trying to maintain things because it needs them. If you continue to lift heavy, it needs the muscle, it has to feed the muscle, it's not just going to waste everything. That really only is going to happen when you're in an excess, like bulking. That's why you're going to gain some fat when you do it. But really, I wouldn't worry a whole lot about it. And I mean, I've seen so many people diet this way. I mean, people like Jeff Alberts and Alberto Nunez and Eric Helms and and Brad Loomis, people like that, all the 3DMJ guys and other people that do it too. Lane Norton, I believe, does basically this style too. And again, it's not advocating just pure junk food or dirty food, whatever you want to call it. But it is great to have a variety, and it is so much better to have things like ice cream and enjoy it, and in small, I mean, you're not going to have huge amounts of it, but whatever you can fit into macros. I have 350 grams of carbs a day right now, so it's not too bad for me. I can squeeze in a good amount of like ice cream and fat-free Cool-Whip, things like that if I want. But I mean, my last meal was a plate of 2 salmon fillets, broccoli, and a bunch of like whole grain rice pasta. So I mean, that's basically clean food. But earlier in the day I had a Pop-Tart, and it's just not that big of a deal. So that's basically what I wanted to describe. Holy crap, I'm at 13 minutes. But I really I'm trying to word this as good as I can, and I'm trying to explain it. And really, this only works if you have proper macro amounts for your body, which is a whole other thing, is figuring out macro amounts. But really getting like enough fat, enough protein, enough carbs, and having the correct overall amount of calories due to those numbers. So that's another thing. But once you have your macro numbers, and you can kind of play around with it from there, but you can get like a baseline. But once you have that, if you stick to it, you weigh your food, you have to track everything accurately for it really to be, to know where you're at and to know what's going on. You have to track it. But if you track it and you hold to your numbers, you can enjoy your food through prep. And I've been doing this. Last year, 2010, I was doing all clean food. I feel better this year, and I'm eating Pop-Tarts, ice cream, all that crap regularly. And I feel stronger and better and more energized than I did last time. And I'm eating more carbs than I was last time, so that's basically why. But I don't see any negative effects from eating all this silly stuff that I'm eating. And that's why I'm posting it on Facebook, just because it's funny to see. And just because people are like, aren't you dieting? And I'm like, yep, and I'm enjoying myself. So yeah, look into it. Don't believe everything I say, but and if I worded something wrong, I'm sorry. Ask me questions and I'll try to explain things. But yeah, look into it. It's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to go over, and that's what I'm doing. So until next time, take it easy and train natural.